In this video, I'm going to go ahead and talk about each of the Webflow updates since the 1st of July all the way up until the time I'm recording this video, which is the 12th of August. The first update being CMS collection field grouping. If we head over to the CMS right now and we go into any collections and we hit settings in order to create new custom fields as we normally do, but you'll notice there's a new button that says add group. I think this is fantastic. So if we had add group, we can go ahead and group that name. So for example, this might be image. And if we go ahead and hit create, we can go ahead and drag in any fields that are related to image, like so. And we can add another group that could be, for example, optional related posts. Hit create, and you'll notice it created a new subject line. And we can go ahead and just drag in other items inside that specific post. We can go ahead and hit save collection. This makes it so easy for the clients when they add a new blog post, for example. Everything is easily organized. You'll notice because it's in a folder, we can actually drop it down and you'll notice it's right here and right here. So fantastic change. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. The next update is Webflow is now available in ChatGPT. Let's head over to a Webflow project. And then right here, we can go ahead and just type in ChatGPT, and we can go ahead and connect the ChatGPT MCP connector, and we'll go ahead and hit install on site. And this will go ahead and load ChatGPT. We can go ahead and install the plugin, and we'll go ahead and just recognize this as trusted URL, hit continue. And then from here, we'll go ahead and search in our project or just tick it through my entire workspace, hit authorize app, and I've been hacked, JK. Now, while this is authorizing, I do want to let you know that inside the actual official post, it's pretty scary because in my opinion, I don't know about you guys, but it seems to me like being a web developer and web designer is two different things, like I said. But just being a web developer, we now have to be forced to learn all this AI stuff, which is very frustrating in my opinion. I don't know if you guys think about that. And you'll notice that because ChatGPT, it says while it allows you to prompt at no additional cost, it doesn't consume AI credits. They may be able to charge you in the future. So from my understanding, what it's saying is that right now it's for free, but in the future, every time you use the prompt, you may have to be charged through Webflow AI credit. And this is a very important point, very sneaky stuff, because in the past, what I noticed is if we actually head over to, let's say, the assets right here, and we go ahead and hit one of the 3 dot icons, we hit edit settings. In the past, we had to manually write alt text. And because of AI nowadays, we can actually auto-generate it, like I mentioned in my previous Webflow update, so check that out. But we can actually go ahead and hit site-wide, add alt text. We can go ahead and hit generate alt text with AI. And this used to be for free, unlimited, for free. But now I realize you actually have a limit on AI credits. And not only is this AI credit consumption, but if I head over to pages right here, now hit settings, if I go ahead and generate a title tag or a meta description or even a schema markup, which again, I made a tutorial on this when this was first released, I thought it was a fantastic idea. I'll give this a 12 out of 10. But now it actually consumes AI credit, which is extremely frustrating. In fact, I've done this before for one of my client websites. I optimized all of this using the AI, which is fantastic. But then if I head over to my dashboard and hit usage, you'll notice it says credit balance, AI usage. And again, I don't even remember when Webflow even released this or announced this. And I've been doing updates ever since in my YouTube playlist. So I think this was pretty sneaky, but I don't know. But it makes sense. So right now we can only have up to 400 credits. And if you want to buy new credits, you literally have to buy a pack, which is billed $20 a month USD. And that's billed per year, and that gives you 2,000 credits. Pretty expensive stuff in my opinion, especially given how Webflow increased the pricing of the site plans. But it makes sense from Webflow business standpoint, but this kind of is pushing the cockroach like myself, the bottom feeder, like the freelancer, like please, don't crush me, because it seems to me, like I've been mentioning many times, they've been moving into enterprise customers, which makes sense from a business standpoint, but it's just crushing what I loved about Webflow initially. I'm just being very honest, where it was just very easy for just simple websites, simple business websites, not like websites that need all this AEO stuff and all this AI stuff and like companies with massive teams, essentially. Not everyone has a massive team, but it makes sense. So just keep in mind of that. Okay, so now that's installed, we can go ahead and hit try in chat. And then you can target the actual app. And keep in mind, there's so many AIs out there, right? I'm pretty sure ChatGPT used to be the leading, and then I literally just said Gemini, and then there's Claude, and there's Perplexity, all this random stuff. They all, from my understanding, do the exact same premise. So Webflow's even increased MCP 2.0 with a bit more functionality. So maybe let's go ahead and take a look at that right here on July 21st, 2026. This is a big deal. Let's go ahead and just read this. Webflow MCP, and MCP just means Model Context Protocol, which from my understanding is just a fancy word to just connect AI with an app. So in this case, it's connecting AI with Webflow. And it's telling you that in this new update, MCP 2.0, it allows you to design and build. It allows better agent instructions, so centralize important context. You can define agents how it should work, so it can save that context in the backend. And it gives you more analysis. It gives you more ability to access CMS. So a lot more stuff you can do. Obviously, I don't think it's like up there where you can literally go into the AI and say, build me a award-winning website, and then boom, it's there. In fact, check out my previous tutorial on the Webflow AI site builder, which is default AI site builder. It's not using a third party like ChatGPT or Claude, but I don't think it's there, but it's cool. But again, this goes back to my point where nowadays, as a website developer, designer, etc., we have to understand this, which is a bit frustrating because this has nothing to do with, web development. This is almost just like using this AI to leverage time in order to do stuff faster. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, right? But let's go back to ChatGPT. And in this, I'm going to go ahead and I have an actual project called gym-test.webflow.io. So I'll go ahead and publish this selected domain. And because AI is supposedly super smart, I'll go ahead and just say, I have a project in my Webflow called this. So I'll put the URL. Can you please change the, let's say, homepage hero title to be Big Chungus is a chunky boy. And I'll go ahead and hit enter and let's see if that works, but we'll just check if it's published. Boom. Let's see if this works. It's my first time using this, by the way. So from my understanding, you can actually talk to the AI to update CMS items, which is very fantastic, to update the actual text inside your website, etc. So let's go ahead and just search it and let's see how long this takes. And of course, with AI, in my experience, someone still has to double check it because AI is not, proper. It can still make mistakes. In fact, it says right here, ChatGPT can make mistakes, check important information, and I'm pretty sure in Australia, just a side tangent, the freaking company, I forget what it was, one of the big accounting firms literally was caught using AI and it just didn't even make sense. It was just making random stuff up. So here it is, allow hero to change number 1. This is pretty cool. So it says allow once or allow forever. We'll just do allow once. And apparently it's gonna go into the Webflow project right here and it's gonna go into the homepage right here and it's gonna change this reach your fitness goal. Dude, that's pretty cool, dude. Dude, that is pretty cool. All right, okay. This is my first time seeing this. So again, you have to open this in a new tab. Like you have to put it side by side. This kind of reminds me of like how web development was originally. You have to open like a HTML editor on the left, and then you have the browser on the right, and then you type in the code because that's how you do websites. You code it, and then you have to press save, and you have to refresh the page. That's kind of what it's doing, but I didn't need to refresh the page. It literally just showed up, which is really, really cool. In the CMS, you notice I have 4 blog posts. So let's go ahead and just say, cool, thank you. Can you please write me a SEO optimized blog post and publish it to the CMS collection? Can it be about Big Chungus? Of course, we have to, make fun of it. So we'll go ahead and feed the AI Big Chungus. So in the future, they'll be like, what the hell? This guy's talking about Big Chungus. Let's go ahead and see what happens. All right, cool. This is giving you permission. Should you always allow it or allow once? I'll go ahead and hit always allow. And while this is running, this brings a lot of things. Number 1, like I said again, if you know nothing about Webflow or development or how a website is worked or coded, by the way, I have a Webflow course. How, you can prompt AI so much, but how could you understand the architecture? Here, a very simple point is I've literally updated the text to be Big Chungus is a chunky boy. It did that, right? We saw that it did that. But at the end of the day, how are people going to understand responsiveness? What if this text is too long and it's going to break the design and they don't understand, CSS classes? How's this going to look like on mobile? You know what I mean? So I guess it's more important than ever to have a developer to develop everything in a standard way. And it seems like everything is placeholder content that can be swapped up with AI, which is very frustrating because at the end of the day, like I said, a good website design is based around the content. In fact, nowadays, I don't even do placeholder content. I just have to make sure the client writes their content and then me designing a website based on their content. Because imagine if they want a really big title and it's going to break the design. That's immediately what I thought. You know what I mean? Let's go back. So it says it's posted a SEO blog post. So we can go ahead and hit CMS and it looks like it's not here. So I'll go ahead and refresh the page. And there it is. Big Chungus, the chunky internet meme explained. Again, with the AI, it's pretty annoying because we can't add images. So let me just see if I can do it. can you add a placeholder image in the CMS fields? Also, if you can do this, this is a big deal because one of the things in the past is you can never add an image field using AI. So yeah. And by the way, this is taking quite a while, but of course it's not even taking a fraction of the time that it takes to actually write the blog post from scratch through your head and research. Oh wow, it can do that. Look at this. It needs designer connection active to upload the placeholder image. Please click this link to open the designer. Wow, okay, this is pretty powerful stuff. This is really good. I might be using this, to be honest. Ha ha ha. All right, so now it's gonna load this, connecting, and then now it's connected, and I think I can go back. Okay, done. Okay, access granted. Dude, this is a really big deal, to be honest. This is a big deal. And this is the deal where, like, if you don't use this, you're just gonna be left behind. And again, like I said earlier, you have to learn this additional skill. So if you really wanna be good, you have to learn Webflow, you have to learn design, now you have to learn AI, which is fine, But let's see. This is really cool if you can add images. Of course, they'll be AI generated, but you know, nevertheless, it's still images. Let me drink some Spider-Man cup drink. All right, it says the placeholder image is uploaded to Webflow library, but I wasn't able to connect the CMS summon through the current connection. So that's extremely depressing. So from my understanding, if I go back into assets, it did literally make a placeholder image of Big Chungus. Let's go ahead and take a look at it for the LOLs. There it is, Big Chungus. That's hilarious. But it couldn't add it to the actual CMS collection. So let's go ahead and ask it why. Why can't you do that? I don't know about you guys, but I find AI very super helpful, but every time I start to argue with it, my brain starts to deteriorate, you know what I mean? Because now you're just talking to an AI. It says it hits the limitation, the Webflow tools, and it can't upload it, okay? So I'm just gonna take this at face value. This is fantastic to change, you know, small things like text, to add CMS items, which is fantastic, but it still can't do everything, which is cool, but maybe in the future it would. So let's move on to the next one. This is very impressive. It's very impressive, no doubt. And like I said again, this is all for free, temporarily. You know, they're probably gonna do the AI credit thing again, but let's move on. So the next change is custom fonts in library. So if we go back into libraries right here, in the past you can go ahead and add components, variables, and assets and share it across your entire workspace. But now you can also share the fonts. So this is fantastic. I believe in the past you couldn't do that. You'd have to re-upload the fonts and then go from there. So this is a really good update. Next change is Webflow AEO now supports Gemini and Claude and shows full AI responses. So let's go ahead and just read this real quick. So it seems to me like it just shows you more in detail analytics of AI search, because that's what people care about, especially the enterprise customers, and it's a new trend. So that's pretty cool. We won't take a look at this in detail. Our next one is introducing Webflow for Slack. So again, Slack is a very, very popular, extremely popular messaging. It does more than that for businesses. I used to use it and it had that noise. Like, let's go ahead and play it. And I'm assuming you can do exactly what ChatGPT can. Like you can just, except you just type it in Slack, not ChatGPT, you know what I mean? So that's pretty cool, I guess. I guess it's really useful for marketers to update CMS items, but like I said again, it's kind of like laziness and skipping a step. But you know, that's just where we're at in this world. This one is real-time collaboration comes to page branching. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this is. So page branching, I'm pretty sure I covered this in the previous updates. If I remember correctly, it was only for enterprise customers. And I guess it's just showing that people can edit that specific page together while live. And if you remember, didn't used to allow that, but now you can do live updates, multiple people at one time inside a Webflow project, which this is like a 13 out of 10 update, like very good. Next one is move mouse animation using GSAP. Again, I still haven't even had proper time to learn GSAP, to be honest, guys. But if you head over to interactions right here where it says version, making sure that you're in GSAP and not the classic, we can go ahead and hit mouse move, and we can go ahead and change the moving of the mouse. Let's say follow mouse, and you can make animations based on where your mouse is. That's what I'm assuming. And I'm assuming they didn't have that before. Again, there's so much to learn. Let's move on to the next one, introducing MCP 2.0. This again is a massive update, but I'm not gonna go ahead and talk through it because we kind of already did that with ChatGPT. I'm imagining this is very similar to what ChatGPT can do. So let's move on to the next one, set tone and formality for each target language. So we can actually change the localized target language to have different tones. This is for the auto translate functionality. To recap once again, you would have to pay for this. And whenever Webflow automatically translates to that language, you can set the tone, because I believe Webflow is using, I think, if I remember correctly, it was Gemini in order to translate this. We discussed this in the previous updates. Let's move on to the next one, components, slot, support elements. So I find it hilarious that, even Webflow, a massive company with, infinite money, or supposedly infinite money, missed the fact of creating a thumbnail image for this specific, update. If we go ahead and hit learn more right here, this is essentially saying that with slots, you can upload more than components. You can actually upload a div block, text block, image, etc. And I've tested this and I just don't see it. So from my understanding, if I head back over to my Webflow project right here, the new way to edit the site, and I just created a new video on the retirement of the legacy editor and how to edit your website. It's nowadays heading over to this button, hitting preview role and hitting either marketer or contenter. And of course, they'll get an invite access. And then right here, you'll notice that the user can easily edit the text, blah, blah, blah. But if they want to add a new component, they can do that. We'll hit components and you can go ahead and drag it in, but you can't drag it in. You can only drag it into sections where it has a slot. So if I go back into developer mode right here, I can go and hit plus, and there's an actual element called page slot. Let me just type it up, slot. So you notice it's page slot right here. And if I go ahead and just drag it in right here, and I hit a Z to open up the navigator, you'll notice I have a page slot right here. And I can go ahead and just copy and paste this a couple of times and just put it throughout the page. This is what allows the marketers to add additional components. If I hit preview role and hit marketer, you'll notice if I scroll down, this specific section is a page slot that was set by the developer. So I can go ahead and hit add component, and that's where I can add the components right here. That's how we can limit things. And of course, I've already done a tutorial on components. We can go ahead and change the properties on the right-hand side to be center align, etc., etc. So this gives you more ability to edit the website and add stuff to the website. But the problem is, if I head back into the assign role, it's actually a lie, because inside, if I hit page slot right here, I still cannot add headings. So if I add a heading right here, it doesn't allow me. It says only components allowed in a page slot. And reading this update right here, it literally just says, if you wanted to drop a heading or an image, you can do that without putting a component. So I don't know what happened here, you know what I mean? So it's pretty awkward. It's pretty awkward, it's pretty awkward. So that's all I have to say, it's pretty awkward. Let's move on to the next one. AEO content is now optimized agents. So again, this is something to do with AI. I'm assuming that this is referring to AI agents. And from my understanding of AI agent, it's literally just like an AI chatbot, but you're just training it in that chat for what you want. So you have to tell it every single time. Again, I think it's an enterprise customer solution. So I'm not gonna go into it too much. Forgive me. Next one is position AI assistant to fit your workflow. So again, I made a tutorial in the past. Please check it out. Talking about AI site builder, and in the AI site builder on the right hand side, we have this AI chat prompt, and you can just move it to the left now or to be floating. So that's a UI update. Then we have track your brand visibility on Perplexity. And again, from my understanding, Perplexity is another, AI chatbot like ChatGPT and Gemini. Again, there's so much. Like, why do we have to learn this? You know what I mean? But there it is. Next one is split attribute on paste available for all users. This is a fantastic minor update that affects everyday users like me and you. So if we head over to our project right here and we click into anything, let's say this button right here or this text right here, on the right hand side, if we hit settings, right here is where we can paste our attributes. If we hit plus, in the past, we'll have to put the name, like for example, Big Chungus, and the attribute is chunky, right? We have to do that 2 times, but now we can just paste it 1 time and it splits it automatic. Wow. So in order to do this, all we need to do is just have this. You see how it says Big Chungus equals chunky because it's 2? If we just copy this exactly, it should work. So let's go and type this up. Big Chungus equals chunky. I'll go ahead and just delete this, hit plus, and I'll just paste it in the name. Boom, it literally works. So I just pasted this text right here, Big Chungus equals chunky, and it split it. This is interesting. This saves minor time. I think it's pretty cool. The immediate thing that I can think of is FinSuite attributes. So if we go into like the filters, which I've made a tutorial in the past, you'll notice if you scroll down, these are the attributes. We have to copy this, and then we have to copy this. But nowadays, we can just combine these two, which, like FinSuite haven't even separated it. So I don't know if they're gonna combine it, but that's what I can think of. So that's a cool small update, nifty trick. Let's move on to the next one. Bulk create form selection options. So this is the last update. This is a pretty cool one. So right now, if we head over to any Webflow forms, add a select field right here, we can go ahead and create new choices by hitting plus right here. Another one, DJ Khaled. Can't spell. There you go. But now we can actually hit this drop down, add more ad options in bulk. So in the past, for example, if you wanted to select field for country, you know, you could be that guy and literally type out every single country one by one. Of course, you can also use a Webflow clonable for someone who already did that. But nowadays we can hit more ad options in bulk, and all you need to do is separate it in a comma value. So we can actually just go into ChatGPT, say, please write out all countries and via a comma. You know, we can use AI. So I guess AI is part of our workflow now. You'll notice this is all the countries. We can go ahead and just copy this, go back into Webflow and just paste it and hit add options. Okay, so it doesn't like the line break. So we'll go back. You know what? See how lazy I am? I'm just gonna copy this and just let AI fix it. Copy this, move back, slap. I feel like this is gonna be the new workflow where no one knows how to do anything and they just like talk to AI, which is hilarious. But here it is. It's just the text wasn't formatted correctly. So here we go. All right, I'll just copy this. Once it's done, boom, go back, paste, hit add options, and it's done. So you'll notice it just added all this. I don't know what happened to the rest. No, it's all here. It's all here. So now if I hit this drop down right here, boom, you can see that there's a lot of choices. So, you know, this would have taken like at least 30 minutes to do manually, but with AI, it's instant because we love AI. All right, guys. Those were the updates for Webflow. Let me know what you think in the comment. I was being very honest with my thoughts. Check out my previous playlist and all the Webflow updates that Webflow has released in the past. I've literally went through it like this. My name is Derek Su, Sydney-based Webflow developer and web designer. I also have a paid freelance course and a paid Webflow course. And I appreciate your time. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.